Is there too much attribute-based jiu-jitsu out there? Are too many schools teaching it? Let's talk about it. Guys, my name is Bill Jones. I'm the head instructor of top-level martial arts in beautiful downtown Cuyahoga Falls. You're watching Professor's Corner. I'm a black belt under Master Pedro Sauer and Tony Rinaldi. With me today, once again, Mr. Tommy Patrick. Purple belt.
Hi, purple belt.
Hi, purple belt. Getting ready to test.
Hi, I'm a purple belt.
Getting ready to test for brown. That's right, I do testing. I'm one of those terrible humans. Test people.
Oh no.
Has standards.
How dare you?
No. If you ever want to talk, we'll do a podcast on that sometime too, because it's not like you don't have to pay for testing or anything like that. I'm not trying to rip people off. It's just I am fortunate and what I would say blessed enough that I get to be in a school where we have a lot of students, and if I don't do tests, I'm going to be putting belts on people I've never met, and so I have.
Fair.
That's why I have tests. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. So attribute-based jiu-jitsu. This came up because I was arguing with someone on the internet, which is always
as you do
very useful part of my time. About and it wasn't even an argument. I forget what the original post was, and it was something about size and strength or whatever. And I said, well, all things equal, size does matter. Strength does matter. There's a reason there's weight divisions and competitions. And someone responded with, yeah, a high percentage of jiu-jitsu schools now only teach attribute-based jiu-jitsu.
Weird take.
That is a weird take to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that means. Well, that's a lie. I think I know what that means, but my initial response was okay, well, what percentage of schools? You're saying a high percentage. What percentage is that?
It's where are you getting that?
Yeah, where are you getting that number? What are we basing this on? And then which attributes are we okay with and which aren't we? Because I would say patience is an attribute.
Yeah.
And I think patience is a great thing to have if you're a grappler. Timing is an attribute.
Yeah, all these things.
These are all things that are probably pretty good.
I think it's a weird statement because do you teach attribute jiu-jitsu or do you teach jiu-jitsu and then people with attributes kind of tweak it to their attributes?
Right. A good example is a high pummel or a crossover move, depending on who you talk to. In other words, you're laying on your back, someone's trying to pass your guard, you bring your foot over and put it on their chest or on their shoulder or on their hip to stop it. Well, if you're a little guy, your knee basically just grazes your nose as you do that move, and it's a very tight movement. If you're a guy who has a larger body habitus, in other words, a large belly, that move might not even be in your repertoire because you can't bring your knee over to do that. So is the little guy wrong for doing that and the big guy wrong for not doing it? Where do we draw the line? What point does it matter? Maybe the big guy can just lock out a stiff arm for a second. I'm not saying that he lifts you up enough to do a hip escape and then regain guard. And the little guy doesn't have to do that. A Lachlan Giles style guy never has to do that. And it's cool to watch, but that's definitely an attribute of flexibility. It's an attribute of smaller stature.
There's things smaller people do get away with that bigger people can't get away with. And is the guy online, is he saying, I wonder if he's just talking about strength? Is he just you're big, so you do this?
I think that's what most people mean, right? I think what most people mean when they say that is,
right.
And what it alludes to is, if people weren't doing steroids, they wouldn't be as good at jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And to that argument, I have to say this. Watch Gordon Ryan's instructionals and then tell me he's not good at jiu-jitsu. Right? He is phenomenal. Watch him do stuff. If you think that just his strength, and his strength matters, let's be real clear, but he's also grappling with a bunch of other people who are roided to the gills.
Yeah, they all look like this.
so what are we talking about at this point? So, his strength definitely matters, but it's not why his jiu-jitsu is good.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think strength is what people usually think of. Strength, maybe speed.
Yeah.
Although I would argue speed is part of timing, and people there's a difference between a white belt coming in, in their first 6 months trying to move fast and just being spazzy, and a seasoned purple belt who knows when to say do an X pass as a guy's trying to lock on a De La Riva guard, and boom, the timing of it made it look fast when in reality it was more just smooth, right?
I feel that's in most combat sports, that's what people look at as speed, is just really good timing.
Yeah, but speed is required to have good timing.
Yeah,
like if you don't have an element of quickness to you, your body has to be able to react at that moment to do it correctly. Like I've never seen anybody slow who has good timing. It just doesn't happen.
That actually makes really good sense. Yeah.
And you're right. That's actually a good point. Is like that's all combat sports, right?
Yeah.
And I think we can also point out that in all combat sports, they talk about weight classes. They talk about attributes like reach.
They're in everything.
You know, like why is it that in jiu-jitsu magically, like you're supposed to be able to, if you're 180 or 117 pounds, you're supposed to magically be able to beat up a 250 pounder. We are the only sport where that happens, and I'm segregating sport at this point because we're talking about competition.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're someone who is trained in jiu-jitsu, I would say purple belt or above, and you're dealing with someone who is completely untrained, some rando off the street, you're probably going to be able to handle them unless there's a massive difference. You know, you get world
too
class,
many attributes.
Yeah, you get like a world class NFL running back. Yeah, 115 pound girl probably isn't going to beat him very easily. Notice I said very easily.
It's possible.
Could happen for sure, but probably not in most cases. You're probably going to need some high level female black belt to make that happen, right? Gabby Garcia gonna wreck him. Gabby Garcia's probably gonna wreck me too, though. So there you go.
Fair.
So we were talking, and what made us kind of stop our conversation and decide to just put it on video was this idea that, like, what if we magically? Well, I guess I'll circle back to a couple things. But what if we magically took every competitor out there and used our Dungeons and Dragons, rolled a d20, got a 20, our spell hit. That's for your nerds out there. We got our crit and made every single competitor the exact same size and strength.
Yeah.
Like they have the exact same speed stats, size, strength, timing. Everything was the same. Who has the best jiu-jitsu? And I think that's really kind of what someone's getting at, right? Do you think
Yes.
Like
yeah.
like if you take that, because there's definitely some guys out there that if you watch them, it's like, man, that guy uses a lot of like holding some pretty tight grips to make sure he doesn't lose that, But like, what if his strength doesn't overcome the next guy because he's not stronger than him anymore? Can he still hold those grips, or would he be better off using other methods of control?
Yeah.
What about the guy who's constantly like jumping over people's guards and doing that? What if? Well, now he's not fast and jumpy anymore. Can he still execute that?
The other guy's
with
just
proper
as fast,
timing,
yeah.
right? Like, where do you see that? And that's where I see guys like Mikey Musumeci. And I would argue it's still probably the same best people in the world. But Mikey Musumeci, Junio Casio, I'm going to do everybody a disservice by not naming like a bunch of people. But like Lachlan Giles, Craig Jones, J-Rod, Nicky Rod, Nicky Ryan, Gordon Ryan, the list goes on, but all these guys are still very, 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 very good.
Yeah.
They still come to the top. Now, they're all the exact same size. Does that give Mikey Musumeci a chance to beat Gordon Ryan? For sure. For sure. It's a chance now. Because like right now, I think if those two roll, while it could be a competitive, interesting roll to watch, I don't think Mikey has much of a chance against him. Just the size is too much to overcome. And you've never seen someone as light as him win the absolute, and that's for a reason. I mean, like, at some point, it's just too much.
Yeah, it does matter.
But if you have just, say, rando black belt, like me, I'm 240 pounds. And now, again, full disclosure, I have no illusions that I think I could beat Mikey Musumeci in a grappling match. I think he dominates me pretty easily, actually. But let's pretend we live in a world where I'm at least competitive in that area, the competitive area. I think it gives him a better chance to beat someone who's more mid-tier and high-tier heavyweight grapplers that probably do get away with a little bit of strength and size.
Yeah.
You think?
Maybe, yeah.
We were talking about Neto Gomez.
He's a tank of a human.
Yeah, tank of a human. And like he's a great example of that. Like if you watched him in his matches rolling, like yeah, there's times that he uses strength and times that he's fast and just strong and holding someone down and being aggressive. But I've never seen him teach that as a technique.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's come to my academy several times and he's never been like, oh, you just have to be aggressive here. I've never heard him say anything like that. It's always, these guys are always teaching. Cyborg Abreu is another example of that. I'm not a big fan of the guy, but he's definitely a skilled grappler, right? And like, I feel like he uses a lot of aggressiveness, a lot of strength, but like, he doesn't teach that way. He doesn't say, well, this is, the move, you just have to be aggressive. Like, I've never seen that. Have you?
No. And again, that's why I think it's like a weird take, because it's like, in a nutshell, do people teach it that way, or do people with the attributes just do it that way because that's them? Because
they can.
That's how they do things.
Yeah. And I think that the hallmark of the great coach would be that even if that is the way you do it, that like when Neto comes here and works with us, he's never looked at you and been like, what you should do is get big and strong like me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's never said that. He's never alluded to that. And he's a big, strong dude.
He doesn't look at lanky people and he's like, you should cut off half your legs.
Yeah.
So you can be lower to the ground.
Now you won't get taken down. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess I just think it's a weird take, and I think it's an ill thought out take.
Yeah,
is the way I'll put it. Like,
sounds
I'm
like
not
there's
sure.
a little bitterness behind it.
Yeah, like, and that's kind of how I ended my statement. Actually, was I feel like when people say that, it's because there's a cognitive dissonance that happens. Like, you think you're this good. Like, I'm a 3rd degree black belt. I'm a 240-pound, in decent shape, 3rd degree black belt. And I'll just keep using Mikey Missimaki because he's one of my favorite grapplers. But he comes here, he wrecks me, right? And maybe before I rolled him, I thought I was this good. Like, this is like the best you could get, right? And maybe that's the best. Maybe I thought I was here. And then I roll him. And rather than saying, you know what, maybe I'm actually like here, maybe I'm kind of mid, like, I have to make up some bullshit in my brain about, well, if he wasn't small and flexible, or if he didn't eat pizza every day, like that. And I feel like that's what people do to fight this ego and cognitive dissonance that happens when you have to realize that you're not here, you're actually here. And elite athletes, whether you like it or not, are up here. It's just the way it is. Doesn't make them better people. It just means they're gifted, right? Like, and I think martial arts is a weird thing where we have trouble accepting this because we put all this mystique around it about what should work, what shouldn't work, why it should work, and like how like big guys should never be able to beat a little guy, and like it's bullshit.
Nobody ever does that with basketball.
No.
Nobody ever is
no one's like, you're 7'2", you probably shouldn't play basketball.
Yeah. Nobody's ever done that with basketball, but we
or
do
football
that a lot
or anything else.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I realize you can run a 4.140, but you probably shouldn't be a sprinter. Like, what are you talking about right now? Like that doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, and I think you're just seeing more athletes enter the arena, and yeah, they can do things. They can athlete shit, right? Like, they can do stuff that no one else can do. But I've never seen them teach that as a requirement of learning jiu-jitsu. And I brought up Gordon Ryan because I think he's the antithesis of that, at least at the moment, where people want to blame his skill and his winning for being juiced. And, whatever, he is, he isn't, I don't know, I don't care. The point is, like, everything I've ever learned from him, either directly firsthand, I've been to his seminar and or on his videos, has always been extremely high quality, skillful, thought out jiu-jitsu. Probably coming from his experience, plus, his coach is obviously amazing. John Donaher is obviously very, very skilled as well. So like, I don't know why people have trouble seeing that.
Yeah.
It's odd to me. But if that's you and you're having trouble, open your mind a little bit, man. That's all I'm going to say. Like, and it says Gracie Jiu-Jitsu right here in my logo, right? Like I'm Pedro Sauer team, guys. I'm all about self-defense, and I'm all about, like, one of my favorite moments just happened. I had a former student from 10 years ago call me. He defended himself in the street using a basic hip throw to Americana on the ground, got well, I almost said knife. It was a screwdriver that a guy had stabbed him in the leg with.
Still
Got
pointy.
it out of the guy. Yeah, it was pointy and stabbed him.
Yeah.
Got it out of his hand, threw it out, you know, like defended himself. So like I believe in all that. That's very important to me. But at the same time, I'm also a realist.
Yeah,
like
it's not. He wasn't competing in the knife fight championships.
Yeah,
Like,
you know, like it's like we're talking about the difference between sport and jiu-jitsu, and I think there's way more overlap than people give it credit for. I really do. Anyway, you got anything else to say about that? I feel like I'm almost talking over you. It's just great to have someone to talk to when I do these.
No, I just you know, just wanted to go into it because it is again kind of like a weird take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let us know in the comments below what your thoughts are. Also, if you have any other questions, anything you want us to cover, I'd love to get Dustin in here, Ed in here. You know, I like to have guests on. It just happens to be Tommy most of the time because he's cleaning and I start talking at him and he's still got to go finish his shit. But like, I'm like, hey Tommy, let's do a quick thing. And he's like, oh, okay. So we do. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Don't forget to do the YouTube things. Subscribe. Click. I guess there's a bell.
Things.
Yeah. All right. Have a good one. See you later.